Okay, so picture this. You get an urgent security alert in your inbox. It's warning you about some unauthorized charge. So you do what you're supposed to do. You check the sender, and your heart just sinks. It's from a real Microsoft email address. You're thinking, this can't be a scam, right? Well, today we are diving into one of the most clever phishing attacks I have ever seen. This is one that totally flips the idea of online trust right on its head.
So let me just ask you straight up. What would you do? We've all been trained for years. Check the sender's address, look for typos, but what happens when that simple check fails you? When the scam isn't a fake, but an abuse of a completely legitimate system? That is the wild puzzle we are unlocking today.
All right, first up, let's take a look at the email itself. This seemingly impossible message that's been landing in people's inboxes and causing, well, a whole lot of confusion and panic.
And you know, this isn't just some theoretical thing. This is a real post from a Reddit user, Bruni the Loony, who got one of these emails. He did exactly what you're supposed to do. He was suspicious. But the email looked so real, he actually had to go online and ask for a second opinion.
So this email, it's just designed from the ground up to make you panic. It hits all the right notes from the classic social engineering playbook. A massive sense of urgency, a really specific, alarming charge, $389.90 for product you know, Windows Defender, and then that urgent command to call a support number right now. It's a perfect setup.
But here is the twist, the thing that makes this whole thing work. The sender is Azure no reply at Microsoft.com. That is not a spoof. It's not a clever typo like Microsoft with an R and an N. Nope, that is a genuine, registered Microsoft domain. And that one detail is what makes this scam so incredibly dangerous.
And that's exactly why it just waltzes right past our defenses. See, because the email actually comes from Microsoft's own servers, it passes all the standard security checks, things like SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, which are all designed to verify that a sender's who they say they are. So your email provider's security system takes one look, says, yep, this is really from Microsoft, and drops it right into your main inbox. No red flags. So if the email is technically real, then what in the world is going on here? To understand the scam, we first have to understand the tool the scammers are abusing, something called Azure Monitor. So let's talk about what it's actually supposed to be used for.
So according to Microsoft's own documentation, Azure Monitor is this powerful, totally legitimate service for IT professionals. Think of it like a health tracker, but for really complex cloud systems. It lets the tech folks know if something is going wrong under the hood.
Yeah, its whole job is to keep an eye on things, like if a server's processor is running way too hot or if an important application crashes. And when it detects a problem, it's designed to automatically send out an alert to the right people. It's a good thing, a proactive, helpful tool. So, how did scammers turn this guardian into a weapon?
And that brings us to the big reveal. This is how the trick actually works. This is the moment a completely legitimate service gets hijacked and turned into a delivery system for fake security warnings.
Okay, so this is the crucial part. The entire scam, it comes down to a single, really simple feature. When an administrator sets up an alert in Azure Monitor, they can customize the text in the description field. And that right there, that's the vulnerability.
The process is almost laughably simple. First, a scammer sets up their own bogus Azure account. Second, they create a basic alert. But instead of writing a real warning, they just copy and paste their entire phishing message, the fake charge, the urgent warning, the phone number, right into that description box. And third, they just tell the system to email that alert out to a giant list of targets.
And this comparison just makes it crystal clear. On the left, you see what a normal alert is supposed to look like, a quick, technical notification for an IT admin. And on the right, you see how the scammers have completely replaced that text with their fear-inducing message. It's the same system, the same email, but with a weaponized payload inside.
And as another Reddit user figured out, this is the final piece of the puzzle. The scammers just buy or steal a huge list of email addresses and dump them into a recipient list. When their fake alert triggers, Microsoft's system just does its job. It dutifully sends their scam message to every single person on that list, all while keeping those perfectly legitimate Microsoft email headers.
Okay, so now that you know how it works, let's get to the most important part, how to spot it. What are the red flags that give this scam away, even when the sender looks completely legitimate?
This type of attack actually has a name. It's called callback phishing.
The email is just the bait. The real attack begins the moment you pick up the phone. Their one and only goal is to get you on a call, scare you, and then convince you to either give them your passwords or install remote access software like AnyDesk on your computer.
And that is exactly what happened to the original poster, Bruni the Loony. He called the number, and almost immediately, the scammer started trying to get him to install remote desktop software. For him, that was the final proof he needed. He hung up the phone, which was absolutely the right move.
So what's the takeaway here? Forget the email headers for a second. You need to focus on the content of the message. So here are the 4 big red flags. First, a real Azure alert almost never, ever includes a phone number to call. Second, you got to be suspicious of that intense manufactured urgency. Third, Azure Monitor is a tool for businesses, not consumer products like Windows Defender. And fourth, unexpected charges? That's just a classic phishing tactic. If you see these signs, it's a scam. Full stop.
And all of this leaves us with a much bigger, kind of troubling question. For years, we've been taught to trust the sender, but this scam proves that even official, trusted channels can be weaponized. It's not enough anymore to just check the from address. The new question we all have to ask ourselves is, how do we verify the content inside the message, even when it arrives through a channel we thought we could trust? That, right there, is the new reality of staying safe online.